The Spaniel Has Needs. Chapter 1, A Puppy's Paradise. Winston, a liver and white English Springer Spaniel, bounded into the world with a wagging tail and eyes full of wonder. His floppy ears bounced as he explored the cozy home of his owners, the Thompsons. As a puppy, Winston was the center of attention. The Thompsons showered him with squeaky toys, plush bones, and treats that crunched delightfully between his teeth. Every day was an adventure, chasing a rubber ball across the living room, tumbling through the grass in the backyard, or napping in a sunbeam with a new toy tucked under his paw. The Thompsons delighted in Winston's antics. "Look at him go!" Mr. Thompson would laugh as Winston skidded across the hardwood floor, a stuffed squirrel in his mouth. Mrs. Thompson kept a jar of bacon-flavored treats on the counter, doling them out whenever Winston flashed his soulful brown eyes. Life was a whirlwind of joy, and Winston reveled in the abundance. He'd race through the garden, dig under fences, and bark at passing squirrels, certain that the world existed to cater to his every whim. Toys piled up in his corner of the living room, a testament to his charmed existence. For Winston, life was perfect, and he assumed it always would be. Chapter 2, The Weight of Expectations. As Winston grew, his sleek coat thickened, and his boundless energy matured into a confident stride. But with age came a shift in his perspective. The toys and treats, once delightful surprises, became necessities. The Thompsons still provided generously, but Winston no longer saw the gifts as special, they were simply his due. If Mrs. Thompson was slow to refill the treat jar, Winston would plant himself by the kitchen counter, barking sharply until she complied. If Mr. Thompson chose to read the newspaper instead of tossing a ball, Winston would whine and paw at his leg, demanding attention. "Winston, enough!" Mrs. Thompson would say, exasperated, as he yipped for a second helping of kibble. But Winston didn't understand. In his mind, the treats, toys, and constant attention were the foundation of his happiness. Without them, what was he? The backyard, once a playground, now felt empty unless accompanied by a new squeaky toy. The Thompsons' laughter grew less frequent, replaced by sighs as Winston's demands escalated. He didn't notice their frustration, he was too busy chasing the next thing he was certain he needed. Chapter 3, A Shattered Spirit. One crisp autumn day, disaster struck. While chasing a rabbit through the woods behind the Thompsons' home, Winston misjudged a leap over a fallen log. His front leg twisted beneath him, and a sharp crack echoed through the trees. Pain seared through his body as he crumpled to the ground, whimpering. The Thompsons rushed him to the vet, where X-rays revealed a fractured leg. A cast was fitted, and Winston was confined to a crate for weeks, unable to run, jump, or even walk without a limp. The world Winston knew vanished. The woods, with their tantalizing scents of pine and squirrel, were off limits. The backyard, where he once tore through the grass, was a distant memory. Worst of all, he couldn't scramble to the kitchen to beg for treats. The treat jar sat untouched, and his toys lay scattered, useless without the energy to play. Winston's spirit sank. He spent hours staring at the walls of his crate, his once bright eyes dulled by depression. The Thompsons tried to comfort him, offering gentle scratches and soft words, but Winston barely responded. Without his runs, his treats, and his adventures, life seemed bleak and empty. He felt like a shadow of the dog he used to be. Chapter 4, The Intruder. As Winston languished, the Thompsons brought home a new dog, a sprightly border collie puppy named Bella. Her black and white fur gleamed, and her energy filled the house with a new kind of chaos. Winston was not pleased. From his crate, he watched Bella prance through the living room, batting at his toys and nibbling treats from the jar. Jealousy gnawed at him. Those were his toys, his treats, his family. He growled whenever Bella came near, his lip curling as she tried to sniff his cast. "Bella, leave Winston alone," Mrs. Thompson would say, but Bella was undeterred. She'd drop a ball by his crate, wagging her tail, or curl up nearby, watching him with curious eyes. Winston ignored her, convinced she was stealing his life. But Bella was persistent. She'd lie just outside his crate, her presence quiet but constant. Over time, Winston began to notice her kindness. When he whimpered in pain, Bella would inch closer, her warmth a small comfort. When the Thompsons were busy, Bella would sit by him, her playful energy softening into something gentler. Slowly, Winston's resentment faded, replaced by a grudging respect for the puppy who seemed to care despite his grumpiness. Chapter 5: A New Perspective. As winter gave way to spring, Winston's leg began to heal. The cast came off, and he took tentative steps, his muscles weak but his spirit stirring. With Bella by his side, he ventured into the backyard again, limping at first but growing stronger each day. The Thompsons cheered his progress, but Winston noticed something new within himself. The treat jar, still on the counter, no longer held the same allure. When Bella bounded over to it, tail wagging, Winston didn't bark or shove her aside. Instead, he nudged a treat toward her, watching her delight as she crunched it. The realization came slowly, like the warming of the earth under spring sun. The toys, the treats, the endless demands, they hadn't made him happy. They'd only made him want more. But Bella's companionship, the quiet moments in the grass, the feeling of strength returning to his legs, these were different. They filled a part of him he hadn't known was empty. Winston began to share more, dropping a favorite ball at Bella's paws or letting her take the sunny spot on the porch. His barks grew softer, his demands fewer. For the first time, he felt content without needing something new. Chapter 6: The Joy of Enough. By summer, Winston and Bella were inseparable. They raced through the woods together, Winston's leg now strong enough to keep up with Bella's boundless energy. But Winston no longer chased rabbits with the frantic need to conquer. Instead, he savored the wind in his fur, the scent of wildflowers, and the sound of Bella's playful yips. At night, they'd sprawl on the porch, Winston's nose twitching as he inhaled the evening breeze. The treat jar was still there, but Winston rarely begged. When the Thompsons offered a treat, he'd take it politely, often sharing it with Bella. Winston had changed. The spaniel who once measured his life in toys and treats now found joy in simpler things, the warmth of the sun, the companionship of a friend, the quiet beauty of a world that asked nothing of him. He and Bella would lie side by side, watching fireflies dance in the twilight, their tails thumping in unison. The Thompsons noticed the change, too. "He's a different dog," Mr. Thompson said one evening, watching Winston rest his head on Bella's back. Mrs. Thompson smiled. "He's learned what matters." Winston, the spaniel with needs, had discovered a truth: happiness wasn't in the things he could possess, but in the moments he could share. And as he closed his eyes, feeling the breeze and Bella's warmth, he knew he had everything he needed.